So this is a continuation of real world domain and range. Again, this is the things that you need to know in order to be able to answer in this place, and this is where you can find them. So you do need to know how to evaluate a function, interpret function notation in context, ask if it makes sense in this in the context of the situation. After check if it could be negative, decimals, or whole numbers, use the definitions to determine domain and range. And these are where those things are located. You just need to find the video that goes with those pages based on the title of that page. If you feel like I'm going a little bit faster than you'd like, you're going to pause the video and go back to whichever situation that you need specifically. So I'm going to do example 4 and you're going to do example 5. A college has a financial aid formula that applies to applicants whose family's income is below a certain threshold. The financial aid can be determined by this function. I'm going to go ahead and put that function into the calculator right now. Whereas X is the number of siblings the applicant has living in their household. And you can see it says, what does X mean? So I'm going to put it right here. Whenever I put this hashtag, it just means number. So number of siblings. Okay. Is living in the household. Okay, so, and then what does Y mean? So if X is the number of siblings, because it says what X is, financial aid can be determined by this function. So the output is financial aid, the input is siblings. So this function right here is financial aid. So this is financial aid, and that's going to be in dollars. Okay, perfect. All right, so find and interpret the given function values and determine an appropriate domain and range for the function. So what does f of negative 300 mean? So my input of siblings is negative 300. So a couple of ways we can do that. We've talked about this in previous videos. We're going to do the table version of it. We're going to click settings or gear, click table, and I'm going to come here to the end just in case I need to press enter. And I'm going to type in negative 300. I don't have to do it again. I can do it anywhere I want to. So negative 300, my input is negative 300 into this function. I'm going to get an output of negative 5,000. So I'm going to put negative 5,000. Now, what does that mean? So what does an input of negative 300 mean? I know that X, which is my input, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So this is my input, also known as my independent variable, and Y is my output, my dependent variable. Okay, so my input is negative 300. So technically I'm saying I have negative 300 number of siblings. And then my output is negative 5,000, which means if I have negative 300 number of siblings, then my household is going to get negative $5,000. Okay, so meaning a qualifying applicant with negative 300 siblings in their household will get negative $5,000 in financial aid. And this interpretation does not. So you can either say makes sense or does not. So I'm going to go ahead and circle does not make sense in the context of the problem. I can't have negative 300 brothers and sisters. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so it does not. See where it says sketch the graph from Desmos. So I'm going to zoom out. It looks like a linear function. So I'm just sketching a quick graph. So it's doing something like this. Okay, so what that means is that I cannot have negative X. So I'm going to go ahead on my x-axis and just cross this out. So X is siblings and Y is dollars. I cannot have negative X because I can have negative 3 brothers, negative 10 brothers, so forth. All right, then I'm going to move on to the next thing. It says f of, I don't know what my input is, but my output is 1060. So I'm looking right here. Where's my output? 160. I don't see it. So if I come to the bottom and press enter, you see it doesn't give me any value. So I'm just going to delete those input. What it is I have to delete everything that I put in. So I delete it. I come to the bottom of what originally was there and I press enter. And I'm looking for an output of 1060, which is right here. So my input must be 3 siblings. So now you have to say, what does that mean? Well, my input is 3 siblings. If I have 3 siblings, I'm going to get $1,060 in financial aid. So you just have to write that down. Meaning, a qualifying applicant with 3 siblings in the household will get $1,060 in financial aid. Does that make sense? Yes, this interpretation makes sense because I can have 3 siblings, like 1 brother, two sisters, and then we're going to get $1,060. All right. So yes, that makes sense. So what that is saying is I can have positive numbers in siblings and I can have positive numbers in dollars. So far this part of the graph makes sense. Now we're going to keep going. Okay, now we're going to look not just at whole numbers or integers, negative and positive integers. We're going to look at decimals and fractions. So my input is 1.333 repeating. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to do 1.3333 repeating, and it's got 4 of them. Okay, and how much money is that? That is, so 1026 point, and money has just 2 numbers, right? So it's 66, but this 6 is going to make that one to a what? A 7. So this is 67 cents. 67 cents. So that's $1,026.67. Meaning I'm going to have 1.33333 siblings, which already does not do what? It doesn't make any sense. I can't have 1.333 siblings. What is that? But I can have $1,026.67. That part I can have. But it doesn't matter. Both parts have to be true in order for it to make sense. And I can't have 1.33. So what that is saying, because this cannot have any decimals, this cannot be continuous. It has to be discrete. So it has to be a discrete graph because I can't have the things in between. That's what it's saying. Oh, here's the question. Is it discrete or continuous? Explain. It is discrete, all right, due to 1.3333 siblings not being possible. Now, it could be also due to the dollar amount, but in this case, it's okay. So if you're being asked if it's discrete or continuous, if it's both of them are making it discrete, you say both. If it's only dollars that's making it discrete, you say that. If it's only siblings, you say that. But remember, if either one is discrete, it's discrete. Okay, so based on the observation above, it is clear that the appropriate domain, so domain again is what? My x values from left to right, right? And my domain in this case is siblings. So siblings is my domain and money is my range. Okay, so in this case, my appropriate domain cannot have any decimals because if you look at these numbers right here, cannot have any decimals because my domain is my input. All right, it can have whole numbers that are positive. And then it can, well, whole numbers are positive anyway. It can have integers that are positive, but it cannot have integers that are negative. And the only one I really need to check is, can I have 0? So can I have 0 siblings? Do I receive any money? Yes. Apparently with no siblings, I receive $1,000. Okay, so I can have 0 moving forward, but with no decimals. So positive and 0, but with no decimals. Okay, so going back to our page that has our definitions, what is that? It's not real numbers because real numbers has decimals, so it's none of that. Is it whole numbers? Whole numbers is simply any positive number that does not include a fractional, including 0. Yes, so it can be whole numbers. So this is whole numbers, and it does include 0. What I didn't check to see is if it goes on forever. So we're going to actually look at that real quick. And it does. Because my graph is going up, there's an unlimited number of siblings that I can have. Basically, I could be Nick Cannon. Okay, that's really what it's saying. All right, so whole numbers would be my appropriate domain. And again, hashtag for me always means numbers. Based on the observations above, it is clear the appropriate range. Okay, so range is from the bottom to the top. And you can see the bottom doesn't come all the way here. It actually starts right here, which is my y-intercept. So if I go back to my calculator and I look at what is my y-intercept, where does it cross the y-axis? 2 ways of doing that. This one's a little bit messy if I do it this way. Actually, I can go here and then do that. There it is. It's a little bit better because once you click in here, it'll give you your x and y intercepts, but it just looks a little messy. So the thing to remember, for your y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So your y-intercept is $1,000. Or you can look straight at your function. Where is my function? Right here. This is your y-intercept and this is your slope. So my y-intercept is $1,000. Okay, so I'm going to start at $1,000 is my bottom, and I'm going to go up to infinity is my top. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Can I have decimals in between? Yes. because it's money. Because this was possible right here. $1,026.67 was possible. So yes, I can have a decimals, but I have to start at 1,000 and then I can go on forever. So it's between two numbers, okay? And it's real numbers because I can have decimals. So this is, I can write this as real numbers between these 2 points. So that's what I'm going to do. So the range of the function is all real numbers. And because it's y, I'm going to use y. Y is between, and I can include 1,000 and infinity. Why don't I include infinity? Because it's not directly a number. Or I could write this as all real numbers. Y is greater than or equal to 1,000. Why did I write 0 there? That's my bad, guys. That was supposed to be 1,000 because that's my bottom. My bottom is 1,000 to infinity. Okay, so I could write it either one of those ways. All right, so please go ahead and try number 5. Let's practice.